Hello, dear listeners. We've got a cracking episode in store for you today. Joining me on Sound Advice Entrepreneurs Unfiltered is Nick Steiert, who is boldly going where many have gone bust before, the festival trade. Nick, however, is a seasoned entrepreneur, having founded Invasion, a super successful travel business. He's here to tell us how to make an events business sell out, how to make it profitable, and make it relevant in this modern world. Welcome, Nick.
Well, thank you, Bex. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. When I heard about your plans to launch Wellnergy Festival, I had to get you on the show. I feel like I've read quite a lot of doom and gloom about the festival circuit in recent years. A few didn't survive the pandemic, and then there were some notable disasters like Fire Festival, Woodstock 99. So tell me, why launch a festival?
Well, it's a wellness festival, and especially after COVID, everybody needs wellness right now. We need to focus on personal development, on growth, on looking after ourselves, and it's something I'm super passionate about, and I guess that's the why. And I want to help inspire others and put on an amazing event, and also help society grow.
But there's like a cost of living crisis going on right now. So tell me, are people spending money on themselves? Are they investing in their personal development? Now, is there cash to go on a festival like this?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of points to mention is the whole festival market in the UK, majority, a lot of people are buying last minute now. So it's a post-COVID trend that's developed. Before COVID, everybody bought things in advance. And then when COVID happened, a lot of events got paused or cancelled. So people lost money. So now people are waiting really to the last minute to make a decision. Equally, the weather plays a big factor as well. So I've checked the weather, and we are due 22 degrees and sunshine in mid-June. We purposely picked the mid-June because that's when the weather is typically nice. We went to the 17th. It was my business partner Doton that said, look, let's do it on the 17th. It's actually my birthday on the 18th, and I was trying to get him to change it because I don't want to be the day before running around. But equally, I thought, you know what, Doton was really insistent we do it on the 17th, so we agreed to do it then. And and also to your point, cost of living, at the end of the day, there is, but equally people still want to do things. People still want to go out. For us, community is a huge buzzword, and it's something that we're trying to create a wellness community. And we also did some market research, and how we've priced our event is also really affordable. It's £65 for an adult day pass, £44 for students, and £22 for juniors. One of my financial advisors that I was speaking with said that up here in the north, she had a local event, which was a kind of a yoga day, and that was £80. They didn't have anywhere near the lineup that we've put together.
I saw that price, and I thought, wow, that's reasonable for a full day event with music, with all these classes and all these big names. So that must be like a smart move, because anyone will be like, oh, for a full day entertainment, £65 probably.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah. And and for us, we want the day to be really inspirational. We want people to leave supercharged. We want them to feel like, wow, they feel energized. They've had a really fun day. They've learned different things. They've got involved. They've met different people.
Can you tell me how much it takes to get a festival off the ground? And I'm also interested in the kind of hidden costs, because you think, right, you've got to secure the site, you've got to get your acts, you've got to get toilets or whatever. But are there any other hidden costs that only really become apparent when you kind of go full throttle through the planning?
Yeah, like you said, the lineup, you got to, also very important is you got to have a brand name, because from our side, when we created the festival, Doton and I, we came up with the idea we were first introduced in January 2020, so 2 months before we went into lockdown. And then when lockdown became apparent, we met outside London King's Cross in June 2020 and said, right, next year we want to put on a wellness festival. We need a name for it. And I'm like, what are we going to call it? Because right now it's just Project Wellness Festival. And so from my side, I I'm a very energetic person. For me, energy is really important. So I was like, why don't we just say the word energy and then wellness, and then I thought, well, why not combine the two into one? And that's how Wellnergy was born. So you need a brand name. So yeah, we came up with that ourselves. You've also got to create the logo. You have to create the infrastructure around it. You also need to, as you said, you have to pay for the talent. You have to pay for marketing costs. That can be quite significant as well, because you need people to know about it. You can put on the best event in the world, but if people don't know about it, no one's going to turn up. So you need to be promoting it. Equally, you need staffing costs as well to help organize the planning, because it's impossible for one person to do it, so you need a team around you. So those are other costs. And then you need to pay for the venue and find the different suppliers, the tents, all of this all nitty gritty. You need to get council permission as well. In order to get council permission, you need to submit the drawings. So you need to do like a CAD design of this is what it's going to look like. And we've just put the latest version on the website, and somebody on the team put, is this the final version? I said, it's the current version, it's not the final version, because we're probably going to tweak it again a bit more. So and that is life. Things evolve, you adapt, you look at how you can make it better, more efficient. It takes time. Nothing is ever perfect first time around. So it just needs you need to be flexible and adaptable as well.
So what did you budget then for this kind of premiere launch festival? Can you share that? How much you had in the kitty to be like, right, this is our fund to make this happen?
Yeah, well, I don't want to specify a set budget per se. What I would say is I actually exited my background is I went to Leeds University, studied law, graduated as president of the Law Society in 2008. And rather than going and being a lawyer like my parents imagined, I went down a very different path. And within a month of graduating, I set up an events company called Invasion. And we were basically doing UK events, taking students from, say, Leeds to Manchester, Manchester to Nottingham, Nottingham to Birmingham. And then we did that for a couple of years. And then in 2010, we launched another brand called AmeriCamp. And then in 2014, we launched Camp Thailand. And then we launched Camp Bali, and Camp Maldives, and Camp South Africa. In 2010, we also expanded the Invasion brand to do trips to places like Amsterdam, Paris, Dublin, Prague, Berlin, Budapest. We also ran a festival in Budapest called Budafest, which had Fisher headlining. We've also helped with the organization of another festival in Amsterdam called Spring Break Amsterdam. So I've been in the events industry since 2008, and so I've got an understanding of how to organize events, trips, festivals, and I actually exited in October 2022, Invasion rebranded and it became known as Intravelr. And I actually exited Intravelr in March of this year. So I exited that, and I went full force and into Wellnergy, so straight away.
So you had some cash in the bank, basically. You'd exited one business, and then this is sort of your investment into your next venture. So you weren't forced to go to the bank with like a breakdown of these are all my costs. You kind of have it covered between you and your co-founder.
Exactly. Yeah. So I used the payout from the exit to help fund it. And and it's ironic. I actually read a quote earlier today about Elon Musk, and there's something like, how bad do you want it? Elon Musk made 180 million from PayPal. He put 100 million into SpaceX, 70 million into Tesla, and 10 million into Solar City, and then you have to borrow money to pay the rent. This is called passion and drive.
And tell me, do you expect the first Wellnergy festival to make a profit? Is it going to be sort of the loss leader for the future of the brand? Like, can you make money first festival?
It's not impossible, but ultimately we're taking a long-term approach to this. It's not just a one-year event. Things do take time. I've spoken to other festival organizers as well, and they all said, the first one is a loss leader. You do that to show proof of concept, to get people there. And then, if you believe in the brand name and what you're trying to achieve, then it will grow naturally. ultimately for me, this is the next step in my career. It's something I'm in it for the long term and something I'm really passionate about. So, probably not going to make a profit this year, but that's okay because, we believe in the longer term.
That's what I read about making a success of festivals, that you have to almost have like a 5-year minimum outlook, because even Glastonbury, the biggest festival, arguably the biggest festival in the world, they have to have like a £10 million contingency fund, because some years they don't make a profit at all. Like some years they do, but there was one year where they made it was like a 40 million turnover and they made 300 grand profit. It was like a nightmare for them. So yeah, having that long-term view is probably, you have to have that if you're creating a festival brand now.
100%. Yeah, you got to believe in it. You got to believe in the long term, and ultimately you got to believe in the mission and trust that things will all work out at the end. And also something to focus on in the future. And it makes you, the fact it's tough makes it more fulfilling and challenging as well.
Oh, that's interesting. You kind of like the challenge. You feel like that's the journey of the disruptor, that you want to have some pushback almost.
Exactly that. Yeah, it's part of the journey.
I noticed that you have some really big names taking part. I was looking down the kind of list of people attending, and I saw cold water expert Laura Hoff, who's obviously daughter of the legendary Wim Hof, and then you've got Love Island alumni Dr. Alex, who we all know and love. So is that vital when you create events these days, to have people with a massive social media following, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. And alongside that, we have Grace Beverley that's going to be there. We also have Alice Living, Maud Hurst. I don't know if you've seen the TV show Vikings. She was on that. And it's important that you have names that people relate to, and because they help generate interest. They all help promote the brand. They'll help drive awareness of it. And then also as well, what makes us very different to typical wellness festivals is the music side. We've partnered up with a company called the Gardens of Babylon, and I first came across them during lockdown, and their music was really fun, really energetic, really kind of like tribal house, and I listened to a lot during lockdown. I was like, wow, this vibe is amazing. And then when we were curating the festival and how it's going to look like, we thought, why don't we reach out to them and see if they want to get involved, because we want music to be really important. And they have a really great style, and we did. And ironically, their founder, she studied law at university as well, but set up an events company instead. So straight away, it's like, there was an alignment there. And she really liked what we were trying to do, what we were trying to achieve. And she said, we're happy to get the Gardens involved. And so they've curated the music side, and they reached out to all the different DJs and confirmed the lineup and how that was going to work and look like. And it's been great working with them as well.
I love that you go do your yoga class and then you go get your groove on and shake it all out afterwards with some great DJs. But that point about the alignment with the Gardens of Babylon founder, that's really interesting, because I wanted to know how you got these big names to sign up, how you got them interested, because you don't have a track record with this particular festival. So it must have been an interesting conversation. So how did you reach out to say Dr. Alex George? Were you kind of sliding into his DMs like, hey, fancy speaking at a festival? How do you make the approach?
Interestingly, Dr. Alex George, we wanted to run the first Wellnergy in June 2021, but that wasn't possible because of all the restrictions. So then June 2022 wasn't possible because travel reopened and we were super busy. So we started planning for the June 2023 event last August, and Dr. Alex was somebody that we had committed to for the 2021 event. And so it involved going back to him and his team and kickstarting the discussions again. And it was interesting because he was already confirmed. And I guess when we reached out to him the first time around back in 2021, it was COVID during that time, and for us to position ourselves as probably an ambitious wellness festival, because we just weren't able to. We thought things would be reopened by June. That wasn't possible.
Little did we know.
Exactly. Yeah, 2 years later. But yeah, I mean, the good thing is because I have other brands that had reputation, we could approach on that behalf as well. So the Invasion brand was established as a travel brand. Yeah, people like Dr. Alex, great. They also want to partner with brands as well. And the great thing about a brand like Wellnergy is there's a lot of positive connotations that come with it.
So I want to hear some of the lessons that you've taken from your previous ventures and brought into Wellnergy. And you mentioned earlier that one of the things that you're conscious of with events is that things change all the time and you have to kind of be focused on the current plan, but also be aware that things are going to change. You're going to have to shift some things around a bit. You're going to have to be flexible. And I love that bit of advice. But what other, I suppose, skills or practical knowledge have you brought into this business from your previous ventures?
Yeah, so the other thing I've learned the hard way is figures need to be airtight and you need to know the position because every decision you make is driven by a financial impact and you need to know what the figures are and you need to be aware of what's coming up, what is due when, and it's so financials and figures is the other thing I've learned. That's really important. Also marketing and branding as well. Getting the festival out there, getting people talking about it, getting people engaged with it, getting people interacting with it.
Do you have like a killer marketing tactic that you use? Like, do you know that particular wording or particular kind of image or particular time of day or something tends to work really well for getting people engaged about an event?
Yeah, TikTok is also really important these days. A lot of the people that we're trying to target are on TikTok, so we're just about to start some TikTok ads. Equally, brand ambassadors, people that have big followings. That's also a good way for a brand to position itself as trustworthy because you can partner up with people that do have those that influence and people trust. And so I'd say definitely brand ambassadors and also utilizing TikTok. I mean, for me, when I first started in business in 2008, Facebook was the new kid on the block then. And if you were to say to me as a kid I was going to own a travel company, I would have been like, no chance in hell. But through Facebook, it allowed us to reach large numbers of people. It allowed us to talk to them, connect with them. And then Facebook, people stopped using it as much. It then became all about Instagram. We're definitely seeing a trend shift into TikTok now. So a lot of people are, because I guess that's the other thing is every year I get a year older, but our demographic stays the same age.
That's a great point about TikTok. And we have had some episodes on this show focusing on how to build a brand on TikTok. So that's useful. And then I always like to hear about the challenges, Nick. So the road to a successful event is never smooth. So tell me one or two examples of some stumbling points in that road and how you resolve those challenges.
Yeah, well, challenges are cash, definitely. As I mentioned earlier, being on top of the figures. So my toughest lesson in business was in 2017, where we got told we have 2 weeks to raise £150,000 or we will bankrupt. We were completely blindsided by what happened, and we had a CFO at the time that was on top of the figures, or meant to be on top of the figures. So we fought, and 2 weeks before, she told us we had a tax problem and that we had to spend money. So we went from that to 2 weeks later, we have 2 weeks to raise 150,000 or we're bankrupt. It's like, wow.
What did you do? Did you have to sell a kidney? How did you do that?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story. So at the time, this happened on Thursday, the 20th of July, is when we got told that news. And I was meant to be going to Tomorrowland Festival at the time, ironically, the music festival. And I had to change my plans because I got called back to an emergency board meeting in Manchester where we got told the news. And I wasn't aware it was going to be that because I then changed my plans to head there on the Friday. And in the end, I spent the Friday just calling short-term finance options, saying to people, because again, at the time, we were doing a lot in revenue. I think we had over 3 mil in revenue. So we had a good business that was doing well financially from that perspective. It's just we weren't on top of the cost. And by the end of the day, I spoke to about 20 different companies and on paper had offers that I think we had 10 different options of that would fund it. And I then went to Tomorrowland on the Saturday, so the Saturday 22nd of July, went there for 24 hours, and I thought, yeah, this is bad. The money that we're going to raise, we need to pay that back. And equally, I just went there to get inspired and just get so much inspiration and be in a different zone and kind of like think about how to work on the business rather than be in the business. And then I went back to Manchester and I went on the Monday and spoke with my business partner and said, look, ultimately we can raise this cash and then we're going to have to pay it back. But, it keeps us in the game. And then once I finished that meeting with him, we had another call come in from our partner in Thailand. And he said that the money that we thought was coming in a couple of weeks, that was no longer the case because a lot of people had cancelled. And then that hole became an extra 200,000 on top. Plus we had payroll of about 50k per month to pay then. So we had, close to $500,000 we had to raise in the next 2 months to stay afloat. And we did.
I mean, I'm glad there was a happy ending to that story, but in
the end, my parents, bless them, they had to remortgage their house partially, and they put 100,000 into the business. On top of that, we found a new supplier for our Camp Thailand program where we renegotiated the terms into something that was more favorable. And then also we made sales over the next few months. So we managed to plug it, but we had a 3-year repayment plan, that kind of cycle that we had to pay everything back. And just as we were going to come out of that 3-year repayment, COVID hit. And then we went right back down again.
Well, that's an insane challenge, but no wonder you're so on top of costs now. And are you like a spreadsheet jockey where you've got everything highlighted red, green, when it's going in, when it's coming out? Are you that guy?
Exactly that. Yeah. I need visibility. I need to know what's happening. Because just coming back to 2020, we thought we were going to come out of our 3-year repayment cycle, and then getting hit with COVID. For us being a travel company, travel got shut down for 2 years. We went 2 years without sending people away, and when you have a young team, again, it was very, very tough to try and motivate them and coach them through it. And, we were trying to find victories, but there were a lot of setbacks along the way. But everything did work out in the end. And things worked out for the better. So again, I think the other lesson in that is you just got to keep the faith, even when sometimes seem like they're really dark moments. It's show up, work hard, and trust that it will work out in the end.
I also now understand the motto you've got on your Instagram. Your quote there is, "We live or we learn." And I thought I'll ask him about that. And now I get it.
Yeah. We win. Yeah, that's exactly it. We win or we learn. And that is life, is when you have that mindset, is you never lose as well, because it's either winning or learning, and learning equals growth as well. So
just finally, Nick, because you've got so much passion and enthusiasm, and you're talking about these dark days with a smile on your face, just how do you keep that mindset, that positive mindset? And you've brought this up a few times during the call, that basically you bring all this energy, positive energy to everything that you do. So where does that come from? How do you do that? How do you maintain that?
Yeah, I think it's just how you feel on the inside. So for me, I like to radiate positivity. I like to, try and be a positive influence to people. Sometimes people say I live in La La Land, and then reality is not true. But equally, perception is reality, and it's how you feel. And if you feel like things are going to work out, things are positive, and then you can manifest it as well. I once heard an amazing, one of my business idols was a guy called Tony Hsieh, and he said that he talked about the difference between a realist and a pessimist, and how, again, it's just outlook. It's like there's another quote that says, those who say you can and those who say you can't are both usually right. And it's true. It's just you have a can-do approach or a can't-do approach, and if you believe you can do it, it will manifest itself. So so I guess that's why it's at my core. I try and be as positive as possible and emit a lot of positive energy.
And we are recording this, I think, just a few weeks before your festival happens. But when we go live, I think it will have just taken place. So do you want to tell us a bit about your plans for Wellnergy 2024 and tell us where people can go and check it out? Maybe buy tickets, maybe buck the trend by buying tickets a whole year early. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to definitely grow the Wellnergy brand into something bigger. We have plans to grow it to 2024. We want to make it. We want to do an event in the north as well. So the first event's going to happen in London. We also want to do a northern one, and also as well we're having discussions about how we can expand Wellnergy into being a general wellness brand. So we've been speaking to a hotel, for example, about us organizing Wellnergy events at their hotel. So that's something that we're looking at, and yes, I guess it's how do we connect ourselves even closer to the wellness industry, and also potentially take it abroad. We're inspired by some big American festivals like Coachella, Burning Man. Could Wellnergy USA work? And that's something that would potentially fit in the 2-year plan.
Well, you have experience doing that. You're the great exporter of events, so this would be a familiar path for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of makes sense. So I think that's also not be too ambitious at the beginning. We're already people saying we're already being a bit too ambitious with what we've put together. So let's have the first event, let's show proof of concept, and then let's grow it from there.
Oh, well, I am wishing you the absolute best of luck. And thank you so much for coming on the show, Nick. What a fascinating, bird's eye view into the whole challenge and excitement and exhilaration of creating a brand new festival.
Amazing. Thank you, Bex. It's been great talking about it. And thank you for having me on here.
Thank you. And listeners, would you create a new festival? What do you think? Let me know. And if you like this episode, please rate, subscribe, or leave a comment so other people can find it too. We are on all the socials. Just use the hashtag #SoundAdvicePodcast. I'm your host, Bex Van Calendar, back with a vengeance. See you next week.